Great. Good. Okay. So, hello.
Hello. Hi.
That was amazing, wasn't it? Whoa, man, that playing was incredible. All the playing has been incredible.
Yay.
I just feel blown away by it. But, you know, sometimes when I see playing that's so good like that, and I hear playing that's so good like that, I get a little discouraged because I think, man, I can't play that good. And does anybody know that feeling? Yeah. Well, I'm here to give you some good news today. Because I've somehow managed to make a living as an touring accordion player for the last 8 years, and I can't play that well. So, it can be done. And my workshop is called, Catherine said, would you like to do a workshop called Accordion Balancing? And I said, sure, but what does that mean? And she said, well, you know, sometimes you know, when you're doing shows, you get up and balance on things, and it looks really precarious and it's exciting, and maybe you could kind of teach us how to do it. I thought, yeah, sure, that's cool. But really, when I started to collect my thoughts on accordion balancing, I realized that the essence of it, there are all kinds of ways you can balance on things with the accordion. But the main point is to impress people and to distract them from the fact that you can't really play the accordion. So because it is after all important not to forget that it's showbiz. So so I have lots of thoughts on accordion balancing, and I will teach you. I have leaflets here that cover many topics, which I'd like to give out to you. It's the first image here, it didn't print very well, but I am wearing an accordion in the image and standing on an upright bass. Now this is that was, I think, what Catherine had in mind, sort of with this workshop. And I can tell you in a very short amount of time, it's very easy to do that. You just an upright bass can be tilted onto its side in a very small area, actually, and so that it's triangulated on the peg as well as the two sort of running boards on the side, and then it's very stable, and then and the bass player can still play it while it's on an angle like that, and then the sort of, you know, the shape of the bass has like a little step in it, right? A notch kind of. You can, and so if you are wearing your accordion, you just have to imagine that this is the bass. It's very easy. Just playing, and then all of a sudden, it's important to know which foot to lead with, but that's pretty much the only skill involved. So you're playing, you know. And then one foot there, and then the second foot goes up on the top of the bass like that. But it's important not to put any weight on the foot here, because that part of the bass is not very strong. I learned that the wrong way by putting my foot through my friend Brendan's bass one time. It's also important, if you happen to be wearing tap shoes when you're busking, just to create extra sound, it's a good idea to put something between the bass and your tap shoes, or else you'll wreck the finish very quickly on the bass with your tap shoes. Little things to consider. And of course, which is what is covered in my leaflet extensively, is dismount. Getting up on something is very easy. It's very easy. Getting down is risky, and sometimes, depending on how much you've had to drink, it can be dangerous for yourself and others. So when you the best and most safe way to dismount is to have something sort of is to go back the same order as you, or sort of like in reverse order, I guess, and to have something close to put your foot on. What I'm getting at is that jumping, while it looks really cool, is usually a bad idea because this thick thing on the on your chest behaves unpredictably in the air, and you don't, and you know what happens is that what's happened to me before is jumping off of a base is one thing, but then if you're up on a bar or a counter or something that's high up, then when you land, I tend to like to wear my accordion fairly high up, and I've bashed my chin on the top of the accordion before and cut it quite badly, and it really sucks. It looks cool though when you have blood all over. I'm not here to tell you what to do and what not to do. I just want to warn you that you know what you're getting into. I mean, really, it depends what kind of show you're doing, and that can lend a lot of street cred to your accordion playing, and really achieve your ultimate goal, which is to distract everybody from the fact that you can't play it very well. So, you know, and we all can use these skills no matter what level we're at, because we're all working to become better accordionists. But in the meantime, while we suck, we can still put on a great show. So, what was it? You know, what else was I going to cover? Oh yes. So, the dismount. There's going to be a lot of times when jumping is the only option, and if there's no step in between the bar, a bar is or a table, and there's no is a very common place to balance. But if there's no chair that you can easily step onto, or if all the chairs are occupied, you may be forced to jump with wearing your accordion onto the floor. And like I mentioned, there are some physical dangers for your body, but there is also something to be very aware of, which is that you wear out your straps very quickly doing this. When on the impact of landing, it pulls quite hard on the strap right here, especially the right hand strap for some reason. I think it's because there's more weight on this side, so it sort of pulls that way. Anyway, so it becomes a big issue to always make sure that you have spare straps. And I've been trying out different kinds of straps. Actually, I bet Julie probably has some interesting tips on good straps. The strongest, the ones that will last longest, maybe how to treat your straps so that they'll last longer. There's, I've found though that I have to admit I'm a bit of a chronic jumper with the accordion, and I do this a lot. And I sometimes, when I'm jumping often, you know, on tour, then I might go through a strap, I might break a strap every few shows. And then, so there is, it's important to have spare straps. And I've found that even better than the leather straps, because they do wear down, they really can't take the impact over time. I've used camera bag straps, duffel bag straps. They have those kind of plastic, the best are those thick plastic or thick metal kind of carabiner thing, or like clip things, and you just clip them on there, and that tends to last longer than the leather, although it still doesn't last forever. So then what do you do? I don't know. Although I recently looked into gun straps, because they are, there's this, I'm getting a pair made. I'll have to report back on how this works, but I'm getting a pair custom made out of parachute cord, which is supposed to be very, very durable, and this is by a gun strap company.
I'm glad you're taking this into your own hands, because as I've told Jack last year, I said, you're on your own.
I asked Julia, I said, what can I do about straps? She's like, I don't know. And you know what, I have to warn everybody that at some certain accordion shops, they will try to sell you these new, expensive neoprene
Don't get
straps.
them.
Don't get
Mine
them.
decayed like 7 times and I had to stitch them up to the
I have some on here right now, but as you can see,
same deal.
they're about to go. And they've actually, and these little, these fasteners do not stay. I've just tied it here because it slips out all the time. Also, something that happens if you get into if you start exploring the world of accordion balancing, you'll find that it's quite strenuous, and so you might sweat a lot. And neoprene straps absorb the sweat and stink really bad. And so then after show, usually they're very wet. They don't dry in time by the end of the night, and then it goes back in my case, and I open it the next day and get a nice waft of my own body odor mixed with this synthetic material, which is really not very, it's counterproductive, really. And they're usually still wet, and so then you have to put on a wet accordion, which sucks. So stay away from the neoprene straps, I would say entirely, and I'll have to update everybody next year on how the paracord straps fare, because I think they make the best yet. Now, something I have to talk about is because I really feel like this is important. Faith and accordion playing. I've noticed over time that accordion and religion seem to be very, they seem to be tied together in some weird way. The accordion enjoys most of its most popularity in countries that have a sort of irrational attachment to their traditional organized religion. And I've been wondering about this for a long time, and in the last couple of days, thank you for inspiring me to think about this. I think I finally figured it out. So it's because accordion playing requires a lot of faith. As we all know, you can't see your left hand while you're playing. And there's no way to monitor what you're doing while you're doing it. Unless, of course, you look in front. I don't know if you've tried playing in front of a mirror. It seems to be very counterproductive and time-consuming way to go about things. I sort of thought it's a bit like having to tell a terrible lie to somebody you love, and then starting by figuring out what they want to hear, and then working backwards that way to construct your alibi. It's like the mirror image is not a very good way to learn how to play the buttons of your accordion. And since the whole point of accordion balancing is to save time at practicing, you just, I think that the most effective thing to do, and I've used this throughout my accordion playing career, is just to have a lot of faith. If you think about it, the earth doesn't care what button you push at all. And the sun will still rise again tomorrow, and all of nature in its majesty and terror will continue on whether or not you push the right button. Wow. And that is just a fact. And then so I'm getting to this. So then using this, so that thought should set you free. And then using this newfound freedom, you can just explore the left hand side of the accordion at will, and surprisingly come up with some pretty cool sounds. In fact, I have an entire album coming out in the spring of songs that I wrote using this method. Nice. And I think they turn out pretty nice. So, basically, but it's important also to emphasize that faith and accordion playing has to be balanced, which is why it fits into the accordion balancing workshop. If you have too much faith, it's a bad thing, because if you take the example of religion, religions usually start with a bunch of people who are just really crazy people who are who seem to have this strong irrational conviction that there are things so much more important than our entire earthly existence, that they take risks that ordinary mortal people would think are totally insane. and from the outside it looks totally insane. And they have this freedom. They have this accordion player's freedom to them, but then over time, actually, people try to copy the faith of their predecessors, which actually has the opposite effect. And over time, you find that this faith means taking fewer and fewer risks in order not to stray from the faith. So it's weird that in essence, faith has nothing to do with faith. Faith sets you free, but if you have faith in faith, then it's no faith at all. So I was reminded while putting this together of a Jeff Brenner song that illustrates the perils of too much faith. It's called the Maginot Line. Yes. Oh, it's in 3. Okay. Have you heard about the foolish French who hid themselves inside a trench, filled it with 1,000,000 men, 10,000 heavy guns, and then thought that they would be just fine. Now they had the Maginot Line, Maginot Line, Maginot Line. Thought you were so safe and strong. Maginot Line, Maginot Line. Stupid, stupid, you were wrong. Well, it wasn't very long at all before Mr. Hitler came to call. He said, boys, this wall is strong and sound. Lucky for us, we can just go around. The stout defenders fought their best, but their turrets faced east and the Germans were west. Maginot Line, Maginot Line, thought you were so safe and strong. Maginot Line, Maginot Line, stupid, stupid, you were wrong. So if there's something you hold dear and you'd hate to see it disappear, you think that everything's just fine, better check it one more time and reflect upon the Maginot Dune. A perfect fortress makes a perfect tune. Maginot Line, Maginot Line, thought you were so safe and strong. Maginot Line, Maginot Line, stupid, stupid, you were wrong. So, there's another thing of accordion balancing which I'd like to talk about. One of the really cool things I like about accordion is that you can do this. You can keep vamping on your left hand and just do whatever else you want. You can drink with the right hand, which is vital for accordion balancing. As I illustrate in my leaflet, generally speaking, accordion balancing is a drunken activity. I think the originators of accordion balancing, we can safely assume, were many sheets to the wind. But of course, there's a perfect balance to be struck. Just the right amount of alcohol will bolster your bravery and increase the sense of risk, which is good. It makes it more entertaining. But there's a certain point after which balancing on a hotel railing, singing to your adoring fans, wavering in the moonlight, could be very hazardous to your health. So I don't endorse it. It's a personal journey we all must make, and I strongly encourage you to make it yourselves. Now, you can also, if you're finished drinking, pick up another instrument. And what do they call that? Multitasking. About the duet idea you had. Well, if your dad's ever not around, you could just pick up the trumpet. Okay, let's finish this off. See? And when you take breaks like this to talk in the middle of a song, this is something I learned from Jeff Berner. He's very proud because he's managed to get the number of songs. Your songs can last for a very long time, right? So he's very proud. He says on the last tour he managed to get it down to like 4 songs a set or something like that. He's going for 3 on the next one. And then if you like those, you gotta buy the album and hear the others. Imagine our lives, imagine our lives. Why didn't some smart fella say, imagine our lives, imagine our lives. Your guns are pointed the wrong way. Your guns are pointed the wrong way. Your guns are pointed the wrong way. So I'm going to pass it over to Steve Normandin now, who is probably the best accordion player I've ever seen. And